Welcome back to the Hoops Temple podcast. So good to be back in the studio with everyone. I'm Nate. Joining me to my left, Aaron Schroeder.
Good to see you guys.
And to his left, geographically? No, I think we might be going to the right geographically. All the way in the country in New Zealand, Dylan Williamson.
It depends where you consider the center of the world. If, Greenwich or whatever is the... What do they line up with the middle on like a standard map?
I think Greenwich.
Yeah. If Greenwich is the middle, then it's maybe not, but it's all relative, man. It can be left or right, who cares?
Yeah, I think if I'm standing in Michigan, facing, got the east and west, it's more like Aaron's to my my right and you're to my very far, far left.
Or very far, far right.
Or very far, far right. It is a globe.
Yep. This is what the people come for, to hear us debate the nature of directions.
I did want to rename this pod at one point, Flat Earth Round Ball.
Yeah, I remember I made a beautiful logo.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah. In like 5 minutes on my phone app.
Aaron looks so happy to be here. Aaron, why so happy? So smiley.
We're gonna talk about the Kings, man. Changed my logo for this.
I posted the clips of the episode, and people were like, "Aaron looks so unhappy being there," and I'm like, "No, he's happy. He likes to come to these things. He's not a hostage. He keeps requesting to come back."
He says like a resting, depressed face.
That's hey, after an hour and a half of potting, it gets to you, man. It's tough to keep the smile on.
I thought you were gonna say after 16 years of Kings fandom, it gets to you.
Oh, jeez, hey, that gets you too.
All right. Well, today's full of optimism. We are trying to pick out players. We've each prepared 5 or more in case we have some overlap. 5 players that we think are going to have improved seasons. I was going to say breakout, but I feel like that implies that we think they're going to be good. I just mean they're going to be better this year in some substantive way than they were last year. Not talking all-stars, not talking superstars, just better. Unless, Dylan, you've got a bunch of hidden all-stars you're thinking about.
Nah.
No.
We'll see.
All right. Who wants to start us off?
Me.
Go for it.
You guys notice my logo?
I see it as the Kings. And he's frozen.
The previous season, and I'm very excited to see it. He's working out with the Team USA in scrimmages, and I really think that's important experience, jumping right from kicking ass in the summer league, a 41-point night, blocking shots, hitting threes, hitting mid-range jumpers, into that work. I think they're going to hand him more offensive responsibility, and I think he'll do fine with it. And he's an older rookie as well, and that maybe limits his total ceiling, but into next season, I don't think it'll be hard for him to get to that 20-point mark.
20 points. I'm assuming you're talking Keegan Murray. You cut out right when you said the name, but the 41-point summer league debut.
Yeah, Keegan Murray. Talking about Keon Ellis, actually.
Your guy. You're not going to bring in Keon Ellis to be your Kings nomination?
I really love some Keon Ellis. You know he's 6'6".
Yeah. That's tall.
That's so tall, and he's good on defense too. Anyways, Keegan Murray showing offensive flashes. I was really happy that he played in the summer league, just to try new stuff, to be able to put the ball on the floor or drive at guys. He had some nice dunks, just taking step back threes and all that. Get really comfortable with it, because he was a turret last year, and a good turret, but I'd like him to have some more offensive versatility.
Fair enough. Dylan, who's your first guy? Who are you expecting to kind of step up to the plate this year and take on a bigger role?
Can I give one that's like one of probably the most popular, like, oh, this guy just needs more ball, like this is a real hooper. Yeah. Can we play Quentin Grimes more than 20 minutes a game, please?
Amen.
Like, this dude's got ball handling skills. He's a super efficient scorer. He can defend. Like, when his minutes totals and his usage have gone up, like, he's been able to perform. And I just want more Quentin Grimes minutes. And looking at that roster, I think there's an opportunity for him to really, take on some more responsibility. And so yeah, Quentin Grimes. Not a hot take. Every NBA nerd loves Quentin Grimes, but he's my number one guy, my first guy.
I think Tom Thibodeau kills young basketball players for fun. He keeps them hostage. I feel like any other coach would have given him some run. I think Thibodeau is a good coach. But the thing is, he does hold that standard of winning. You win games through it, but it's going to cost you. In Quentin Grimes is going to get 30 minutes a game because he makes one mistake, and Tibbs is like, "I'll never play you again."
Do you guys ever listen to the Mismatch, the Ringer podcast with Chris Vernon?
Occasionally.
Chris, yeah, and Kevin O'Connor. I was like, Ryan O'Connor? What? Couldn't remember his name. But Vernon has this thing about, like, just don't play players that suck. And it's not like Grimes sucks, but, like, young players have young player mistakes. And I feel like Tibbs is like, I can't play anyone that makes mistakes. And I gotta rip him off the court as soon as it happens. I went and pulled up Grimes's kind of breakdown splits. And, like, when he gets good minutes, he's putting up double digits points. He's got that over 60% true shooting at, like, all minute levels. Like, his true shooting on the year is basically 62%. Guy is fire. Guy shoots a lot, but Tibbs is scared to play him, and I kind of wouldn't mind seeing him get traded, go somewhere where he's going to get minutes.
I have a great Bobby Knight quote that reminds me of Tom Thibodeau's, what we just described, not playing rookies. Goes as follows. Oh shit, I lost it. One sec.
You had a nice Bobby
I got it.
Is that the quote is about playing rookies? Is, oh shit, I lost them. Let's put Derrick Rose back in the game.
Quote is, the greatest motivator in the world is your ass on the bench. Ass meets bench. Bench retains ass. Ass transmits signals to the brain. Brain transmits signals to the body. Body gets ass off bench and plays better. It's a hell of a sequence. That's Thibodeau.
To bench to ass. Yeah, but is it though? Is Thibodeau following through with the second half of like, this guy's really motivated. We're going to get back in.
No, I mean, eventually. Well, the thing with Tibbs is exactly Grimes makes one mistake and he's like, that's really cool out there. I don't think you're ever going to play again.
Yeah.
Good try out there, but sorry, not happening. Do you mind if I tack on another Nick just really quickly? Since
is
we're
your
on
Nick
the conversation?
Is your Nick Isaiah Quickly?
Well, for
Emmanuel Quickly?
Obi Toppin.
You can toss him in. He was one on my list as well.
Good. I have Toppin in our Sleeper Dynasty League. I'm just waiting for this. I was thrilled with the trade. Toppin in college was posting guys up, driving to the rim, hitting threes, doing all kinds of stuff, scoring in crazy ways. And Thibodeau, understandably so, because he's trying to make the playoffs, stuck him in the corner. I think they won more games doing that, but I think just on Indiana, especially with Halliburton playmaking, they're going to give him opportunities to score in crazy ways again. And I still have so much Toppin stock.
The thing that I really like about Toppin is his speed. I feel like this Indiana team is just going to fly up and down the court. And like they will have good ball movement. He averages 1.28 points per possession on the fast break. And Indiana last season was the 6th fastest team. In comparison to the Knicks, who were the 25th fastest, so the 6th slowest team. Like, you let Toppin get out and start running, I think we could see a really good year from him. Now, he is going to have to battle Jarris Walker, who had a great summer league for the Pacers. He's their top draft pick. Like, maybe the minutes aren't quite there, or aren't quite as improved, but he's got to be getting more minutes than behind Julius Randle in Tibbs' offense, right?
For sure. My other Toppin analysis is he has the upper half of LeBron and the lower half of Victoria's Secret model. That dude has the longest legs I've ever seen in my life. His hips are so high. He's like mostly legs.
I've never stared at his legs, but I guess now I have
just
to.
Next time you watch him, it's impossible not to notice. You're like, dude, he's like his hips started his rib cage.
Yeah, you're really missing an important aspect of basketball analysis if you're not judging players' leg to body ratios. It's the next big thing. Everyone's caught on to wingspan, but the next big thing is going to be leg to body ratio.
That does really matter because like
First
Porter
one is shoulder
Jr.
height.
also has high hips. Like Porter Jr. also has high hips, and those guys can't turn and defend people.
Yeah. Like, I remember Elton Brand always talking about how he's like, I'm not short. I just have a skin, like a small neck. It's like my shoulders are the same height as the 7-footers. I got this stubby little neck.
That's awesome.
And then they started measuring shoulder height, and he's all pumped about it. And then we got like wingspan, and Orlando doesn't draft guys without measuring their wingspan. That's their bread and butter. They're like, he averaged 30 points per game in college. Nah, his wingspan short, can't do it. All right. Although Toppin was on my list, I'm not counting that as mine. My guy's gonna be Jalen Johnson for the Atlanta Hawks. They moved out John Collins. They kind of opened up some rotation minutes. Now I know they also still have some log jams with Capella and Okongwu. I hope they don't try to play those two guys together. I hope they just give Johnson more minutes. He's just this long, rangy. He's still really young forward. Great bounce. And he had 12 minutes or 12. Yeah, he had 12 games last year where he was between 29 and 20 minutes a game, and was basically 10 points, 6 boards on 60% true shooting. I think that could become his regular. Right? I think maybe even more than that is going to be like a nice baseline for him. I also like his defense. He's young, still makes some dumb mistakes, but they were putting on LeBron, and I think that's just the way to my heart now, is putting a young guy on LeBron and letting him use his athleticism to look above average.
Not a lot of hot takes on Jalen Johnson.
No?
You really
You don't
tack
love-
anything on. I would love to contribute more. I just 15 minutes a game. Yeah. Hey, that's a
Watch
deep
that be
cut,
25
man.
this year.
I'm into the take. I no Jalen Johnson stuff to add. I feel like the John Collins trade is going to open up a lot because with Collins' contract, you're like, we have to play this guy, especially because they're fighting for playoff spots. Like, no, he's really good, I promise. Like, no, his fingers all point the same direction still. It's okay. With him gone, I think that'd be overall a good thing for them.
Yeah. Well, and I think at this point, Johnson is in his third year, and it's kind of hey, we either have to give him a rookie extension soon or give up on him. So now it's the time to really check it out and see what he's got.
Yeah, and just as to what he's got, Nate, as our resident expert on Jalen Johnson, can you give people who haven't watched a lot of Atlanta Hawks in the last 2 seasons a rundown on his strengths and the ways that you think he's going to be able to contribute more to this team?
Just incredibly high athleticism. He is very fast. He is very long. I was just making fun of Orlando, but he's got all of the right measurables and a good motor behind them. It's not like he's not Boogie Cousins where he's falling asleep and watching guys go by him. Now, occasionally he can get juked out. He's still young. He's 20 years old, but he's constantly hustling. He is someone who I think projects to be able to guard 3 through 5 because he's got the foot speed and quickness to like stick with a younger, more agile 3, or he's got enough length to go up against a lot of 5s. He kind of reminds me of a very poor man's version of Indiana Paul George, like pre the offense developing, just that defensive instinct. I think that's what the peak Jalen Johnson might be.
Man, I'm all in now. He's gonna have to start for them, right? Like they don't really have anyone else at the.
Let me see what else they got
to play at the 3 or 4, whatever you want to call him, and Bay.
Yeah, Bay's more of a 3. He's more of a 4. But yeah, after moving off John Collins, like AJ Griffin's a bit small. I think Okongwu. Yeah, Hunter's more of the 3 as well.
Yeah. Forgot I still got him just taking up minutes and making 20 million.
Yeah, maybe they can get rid of him.
I'm sure they're trying.
All right, Dylan, who's your next guy?
Let's get into the bag. Got one that's kind of like two guys, and they like both kind of had a breakout season last year. But I'm just expecting even more emergence from the guys in Brooklyn, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. Two guys who sort of found themselves thrust into much larger roles, and I think for the most part really showed that they've got the skills to play in that sort of role as, you know, a 1 and a 2 on a reasonable team. And you know, the Nets are sort of rebuilding their roster, but they actually managed to put together a pretty nice team that I think could actually win a lot of games. And so as Mikal and Cam continue to establish that level of play, I think the overall awareness of them as guys who are like these sort of all-star, fringe all-star caliber guys is really going to continue to develop.
And that Nets team, the key to that, because you have this Claxton, Mikal Bridges, and Cam Johnson thing going on, and I like all those players. What if Ben Simmons comes back? This is a ridiculous conversation. I should have had. I should have.
Your breakout
you can have him as your next pick if you want.
I should. He's breaking out. He's gonna break out into the NBA and play basketball games.
Either that or I'm going to a lucrative career in Photoshop.
Comeback player of the year.
Comeback player of the year. I feel like with those guys and the youth and the athleticism, I know that that prime Simmons doesn't exist anymore, but they could win like 50 games if he decides to suit up.
Yeah, they'd be incredibly switchable defensively. I mean, Mikal is your 3, Simmons is your 1, and Claxton is your 5. Like, step
Good
aside
luck.
Spencer Dinwiddie.
You got Finney Smith.
Oh yeah.
And
Royce
Cam
O'Neal, Cam Johnson. Even Spencer Dinwiddie is like got really good size for a point guard.
Cam Johnson would love that. Just get buckets and have 4 defensive players. It's like 2019 James Harden, except for Cam Johnson is the centerpiece.
Do you think Mikal is going to be an all-star?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna be probably the number 1 guy on a team that like we were just saying is gonna be like pretty good. No one's gonna expect it from them, and they're gonna come out and like win mid to high 40s of games, and people are gonna be like, where did this come from? Like they've got 9 good NBA players.
Yeah. Just looking at the Eastern All-Stars, they've got some other spaces available. I mean, Kyrie is now in Dallas. Donovan Mitchell will probably be there again. Giannis will be there again. Durant is now in Phoenix. Tatum's still there. Jaylen Brown. I'm not locking DeMar DeRozan in again, just with age. I think at some point that's got to tail off.
Jaylen Brown in either at that point. Not for player reasons, but for.
I feel like they're going to win enough games that they get the 2 All-Stars.
I don't know if he'll be on the team, is what I'm saying.
Oh, fair. Tyrese Halliburton will be there. Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton wasn't there, but I think Chris will rebound. You got Julius Randle, you got Bam, Joel, Pascal. Jalen Brunson didn't make the team. He'll probably make it this year. Think Mikal's bumping some of those guys off.
Yeah, I mean, like there are a few guys there that he could outperform, and then you just add in that, like, there's always someone that's injured. Like it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a lock, but
yeah,
I think for sure, like the role that he's going to play, the quality of team that they're going to be, I think it's going to be really hard for the fans and for the coaches to overlook them. And also, they're just going to be like really like a feel good team, like the like that old Brooklyn Nets team with D'Angelo Russell.
D'Lo.
Like it just like a very likable team.
And D'Lo was an all-star that year, wasn't he?
Yeah. He got the Happy Times all-star nod.
Yeah.
I think he got benched in the 4th quarter for Spencer Dinwiddie, but he he was the all-star.
We don't mention that.
Vibes. The vibes were too good.
We're going to talk about all that. All right, Aaron, who's your next guy?
Point guard Scotty Barnes is my next guy. He played 1% of his minutes at point guard last year, only going up. He averaged last season close to 5 assists after a 3.5 as a rookie. With no Van Fleet, I feel like the Raptors are going to be close to as good as they were last year, despite Van Fleet's absence. Given I like Scotty with the basketball more. I think he's really talented, and the sophomore, he didn't make that jump. He kind of hit that sophomore slump, but he still improved in other ways, and with more responsibility and a year under his belt, I think he's really good. I don't know if he's gonna be all-star good, but I think he could average like 7 assists per game.
Yeah. I think the big issue for him is just going to be the environment that he has to play in, which is like, he'd be great as the point guard if he wasn't playing with 4 other power forwards on the court at the same time. Like, he's a guy that would really thrive having some freaking shooting around him, and they're
Dennis Schroeder's not cutting it for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Schroeder's going to be the backup point guard. We're saying Scotty's the one, but yeah, like I wish he had some more space to really operate in. I think that could be the yeah. I think that's going to be the only thing that is going to hold him back. Is just they're still going to play him with like 3 other power forwards.
How many guys between 6'7" and 6'9" do you think the Raptors have on the current roster? If I'm reading all this right.
Well, how many players are on the roster?
Yeah,
and subtract 2 from that.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 16.
I'm gonna go with 8.
I'll take the over on that.
8 is correct. Straight up 8. Yes. Scotty Barnes, Jalen McDaniels, Thaddeus Young, Chris Boucher, Otto Porter Jr., OG, Precious Achua, and Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, there's just so many. I forget what podcast I first heard it on. This is not an original take. It might have been the Greatest of All Talk, and I think it was a fan that wrote in, and he was saying like Lamar Odom was great at having this like ball handling and passing for a forward, and something that I loved, and I loved those Lakers teams with Lamar Odom being able to do some ball handling and passing, and like Fisher could just spot up in space, and Kobe didn't have to do that. And he's like, the problem though is like that's great for a forward, but when all of your team is like the Lamar Odoms, like you don't actually have enough ball handling. Like everyone has a better ball handler than Lamar Odom, but when you've got that in a forward, like that's great to have. You just don't want it to be the best on your team. Sorry, we're kind of shitting on your nomination here, but
it looks like the Raptors are doing their best to avoid all this height, and in a 2-way contract they have Marquise Noel, who is listed at 5'8".
Bringing the average down.
Yeah, so like, see, that's really short. Holy shit.
Yes, if you were an NBA player smaller than me, that is
my goodness. He's 5'8", 160,
and you know that he's not actually 5'8".
He played 5 years in college.
Like 5'8" is he's probably 5'6".
Fucking master's degree, what is he doing?
This dude's a genius. He's the shortest genius ever.
What? You don't have to be tall to be a genius. All right, my next nomination, I'm going with a Dylan favorite here. I had to sneak this one in before Dylan could steal him. Tyus Jones. And I do have some worry that Tyus Jones isn't going to get the ball enough. Like, I know he's the point guard, but I really feel like Kuz and Jordan Poole may just, like, get the ball and then never give it back up. But as a bench player last season, Tyus Jones, as a reserve, he's getting 20 minutes a night, averaging 8 points and 4 assists. As a starter, 33 minutes a night, 16 points, 8 assists. Sorry, 8 points, 4 assists as a bench, 16 and 8 as a starter. 13-minute increase, but almost doubling all of the stats, and just 1.5 turnovers per game as a starter. So we're looking at 8 assists to 1.5. I think if Washington lets him, he could have a really nice year. It's a good enough sample size for me. It's 22 games. I do worry sometimes moving the backup to the starter, but I think Tyus is young enough and has got a big enough sample size that he shows he can make it work.
My only concern is that he's not going to be on the Wizards for longer than like 3 months.
I loved the idea that Boston was trying to get.
There might be even more argument for him.
Yeah, is being on the Wizards a pro or a con in this case?
It is certainly a con. I was looking at that roster today, and it's not pretty.
I think he'll just be back on a contender come February or on some playoff team.
Yeah,
I like the pick. I did have Poole on here for identical reasons.
I feel like that Washington team was just like primed for us to pick someone because someone has to put up numbers. It's not like
I think the sad thing is it's going to be Kuzma again in just the kind of a depressing way. It's like, hey, Kyle Kuzma, 44% from the field. It's like, ooh. I had Poole on this list. I feel like going from a place where it's all structure and you have to play well to a place where there's no structure and who gives a shit, it is awesome for someone like Poole. And I think his pure scoring talent will really come out, and you'll see some pretty nice games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Poole the other day, and actually in comparison with Rondo, because Rondo in Boston has like these really great numbers, and it looks like it's contributing to winning, but you also still have the other guys all around him. And then as soon as the other guys kind of get too old, get traded away, stop playing with Boston, like the numbers just don't mean anything anymore. They're really empty. And I kind of wonder what we're going to see from Poole. If Poole's numbers are going to just, okay, now we get 30 wins and I get 20 points, or if he's actually going to be able to make a meaningful impact on winning in some way that's not just empty numbers.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to go on to Poole, because I also had him on my list as I think probably like one of the most obvious guys. But you talk about another guy with big, I mean, I'm not going to go to the effort to look them up, but a guy with big bench versus starter splits. Off the top of my head,
I think hard to look these up. Hold them up right now. Keep saying what you're saying, but I'm going to have these for you.
It's these numbers that I'm about to present to you through the voice of Nate Schwartz. It's just going to perfectly demonstrate how, almost to Aaron's point as well, playing with more freedom, with more of a independent role can really improve guys like Poole.
I want to hear a guess. How many points per game do you think he averages as a starter versus as a bench? And I'll give you his minutes. As a starter, he gets 33 minutes a night. Coming off the bench, it's 26.6. So we're looking at like a 6-point difference, 6-minute difference. Words are hard. I don't know why I podcast.
Like 22 points to 16.
22 to 16. Dylan?
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'll take that over again and then be wrong because Aaron already nailed it.
The reserve is 15.9, so you guys are very close with that 16. As a starter, it is 24.6. So you got it with the over.
Nice job, Dylan.
Thank you.
Poole is good, and he was terrible last season, but there was a point in the 2022 season where Curry was hurt and Poole was starting games, and he really did. He kept them afloat legitimately. His brain leaked out the side of his head at the start of this past season, but we'll see if he can bring that back in Washington.
Yeah, there was a blunt force impact that might have caused some of that. Yeah.
I cannot contain. The video is killing me. I can't fucking stop laughing over here.
All right. That was technically my nomination with Tyus Jones, but both of you guys went and threw out one of your guys. Dylan, you want to throw out another guy? Aaron, you want to throw out another guy?
Can we talk about a really good player? I think will be even more awesome next season.
We're going to talk about good players on this podcast. Come on.
Yeah. If I knew we were talking about good players, I wouldn't have started off strong with Jalen Johnson.
That's true. Yeah. I'm just ruining this, just derailing this entire podcast. I think Anthony Edwards is going to have a really special All NBA season next year. Just from an all-star to like a fringe all-star to he was an all-star last season. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was. But it was an injury alternate.
He was an injury replacement.
Okay.
For Zion.
Yeah, which is just a fucking free all-star spot for somebody every season at this point. Someone's getting it. But for Edwards, I think more time with Gobert and get Cat healthy. He's just such a special player. No one can stay in front of him. He has the downhill speed and the power that just makes him really fun to watch and exciting. And with a better Wolves season, I mean, they can still. We don't like them. We don't love that roster. They still are good enough, healthy to win 50 games. And if that comes to it, and Edwards even gets a little bit better, you're gonna see second team All NBA, third team All NBA kind of stuff.
I'm the last stan on this roster. I still like the idea of trying Gobert and Towns. They got like 17 games together last year. I don't think that's nearly enough because like it's a tough thing to do to play two bigs who are not used to playing with other bigs together. Yeah. But I think
give it a shot.
It's got potential.
I thought it was hilarious that they were terrible last year, but I mean they're still good players. And more Mike Conley stuff, and they have the size and the versatility. It'd be hard to beat.
They still have Kyle Anderson on the roster.
I do like Kyle Anderson.
Just the Kyle Anderson Rudy Gobert fight, a little skirmish during was it play-in or playoffs? I forget. His first round or the play-in.
Play-in, and McDaniels. One second, my dogs. Go ahead, carry on, guys.
Yeah, McDaniels breaks his hand. McDaniels would have been a great call out for this.
So we can like honorable mention guys as we go through the rosters.
Yeah. Honorable mention Jalen McDaniels, one of the better defensive wings, also a really good shooter. At one point in his draft year, he was like projected to be a top 5, top 10 draft pick, and then just over the course of the year slowly fell back into like the mid-20s. But there were a lot of people really high on him at the start of the year.
Yeah, and if we're going to talk breakout, as in like not just the players getting better, but like the general NBA fandom starting to acknowledge how good guys are. Like defense always takes a long time for overall, fandom to come to appreciate. And I think this could be the year that everyone's like, oh, McDaniels is like a really fucking crazy defender.
Yeah, there's the kind of jump into NBA consciousness. That might be more of what this is like who breaks out / who jumps into the consciousness. All right, whose guy was that? That was Aaron's?
Yeah, kind of. It was Anthony Edwards. I don't know where we're at this point.
Aaron, how many guys off of your list have you talked about?
One.
So I know we had some overlap.
I had 4, so I have 3 left. I have 2 left. I have 2
All
left.
right.
No, 3 left. Can't fucking read, dude. 2 left.
Dylan, who you got next? We're messing up the order. We're naming names.
It's a free flow podcast. It's not about structure. It's about the quality of the discourse.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna switch it up and take a homer pick. As is my right. I don't have the Clippers background, but I do have the t-shirt. One of the steals of the offseason, KJ Martin, that the Clippers picked up basically for nothing. So a guy with good size and strength to be a really good defender, switchable and versatile. Some shooting ability, good feel, good athleticism. A guy that like just really struggled to find a role and find minutes. And in this team where, like, other than Kawhi and Paul George, there aren't necessarily a lot of like just straight bucket getters.
Marcus Morris, sorry.
And on the roster overall is kind of lacking in athleticism. I think he fills a pretty valuable role. And like where exactly Ty Lue puts him in, it could be anywhere from completely, starting at the 4 and getting rid of Marcus Morris, or it could be like the 9th man. But a guy that I think could really have a breakout role, put up good numbers on a good team, and just like going to be a good two-way player who can score. I think that the average fan's going to really start to appreciate KJ Martin.
I mentioned this on the last pod I did. An underrated way, like one of the best ways to make your team better, because when you think about trades, you're like, okay, this guy is worth that thing. But when another team is trying to do something else, that's when you get value. And the Rockets were moving everyone around, trying to make space for Van Fleet and Brooks and all that. And the Clippers were like, we'll take Martin. This is awesome.
Yeah. Like, he may also be the worst player in NBA history to demand a trade, which he did last season. But I don't know. Who do you think's better, him or Furkan Korkmaz, who also demanded a trade?
Korkmaz.
Okay.
Korkmaz is nice.
I mean, just like where
great
they're at right now, I think it's Korkmaz.
That's a great award. We should give that. We should just keep track of all the trade requests. I'm trying to think of other shitty players that like wanted out.
All right, but I'll put it. Yeah, I think KJ Martin is a starting caliber NBA player with some two-way ability, good athleticism, and some shooting. So I think he's going to have a really nice year.
Good one, Don. That was a nice take. I appreciate that. That's Kenyon Martin's kid, right?
It is, yeah.
I saw him. I saw him play in the high school championship game. His dad was there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it is most definitely a Kenyon Martin's kid. He's Kenyon Martin Jr. He has to be a Kenyon Martin's kid.
What's his name again? Is it just Kenyon Martin Jr.?
Jr.
For some reason, I kept saying KJ in my head. I just like
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, he goes by KJ.
Oh, goes by okay. I'm tripping. I lose my mind. Okay. All right. Good. Thanks, Nate, for scooping me up there. I'm gonna keep it going with more blue chip stocks.
Fine. I'm just gonna be out here with my weird ones.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
The Harden trade's coming, and it's just the inevitability of him getting more shots in a bigger role. And I think he's really good. I think he'll be able to handle that. Do I think he's like an all-star caliber guard? Like, would I take him over Jalen Brunson? Probably not. But if I'm the Sixers, I'm like, this is awesome. I get to get rid of James Harden and Maxey plays more minutes. I think they're going to be better next year, at least in terms of end game.
Yeah. And I do think that he's a better player than like a lot of these guys that he gets lumped in with, like these kind of just like guard chuckers, like Jordan Poole and Tyler Hero and Anthony Simons. Like, I think he actually is a more valuable offensive contributor than those guys. And I actually do think that he's like an all-star caliber of player. And so if he can get that role as like the starting point guard and, the second scoring option, like I do think he's really good as an efficient offensive engine.
That's an interesting take to hear that you think they're going to be better with him. But I don't hate it. I was kind of pushing that they should trade James Harden to the Knicks back when like that first popped up because of other players we've mentioned on this. I was like, man, if you can get a Quentin Grimes for Harden, like Grimes next to Embiid would just be a great pairing. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think the Clippers are going to give up enough for Harden. I don't think he wants to go anywhere else. It's just kind of weird, but I would hope that the Clippers could get, or that the Sixers could get more pieces that make sense for Harden and really build around Maxey and Embiid. Like, I think that's the flaw of Daryl Morey's thinking, because Morey always wants to have 2 stars. And I think he has a potential in that second star with Maxey. And in that case, you can trade Harden for not just another star. Yeah.
And I think Daryl does like recognize that Maxey is that level of player. Like, that's always been his big skill, is that like he he's built a whole career because he knew James Harden was a superstar before anyone else was willing to put assets on that. And so I have to imagine that like he's aware, like he knows what he's got with Maxey.
That's why they wouldn't include him in the Dame trades. They said I'm not putting Maxey in the Dame trades, and man, Dame is so good, but I feel like if you're trying to keep Embiid on the team and you don't see this last year as their final window, I think that's the right move.
All right. I guess you went homer pick. I'm going homer pick. I think the breakout Laker of this season will be Jackson Hayes. I think this is the year.
Why?
That's
Lob
a big
threat.
call.
Lob threat. The man is great at finishing. As a pick and roll player last year, he averaged 1.54 points per possession as the pick and roll man. 1.5 is insane. Now, it is very limited. He did not play a ton, but I think with the other Lakers around him, these Lakers know how to do a pick and roll. And Davis is going to get hurt. Davis is going to miss 20, 30 games, and Hayes is currently the only other center we have on the roster. Like, we might sign Bismack Biyombo, we might sign Christian Wood, but as of now, when Davis goes down and misses 20 games, Hayes is getting 35 minutes a night.
I hate that I like it because you're right. I mean, anywhere to be is next to LeBron and Anthony Davis, and they're going to get the best out of you. Even if it's not, the ceiling isn't super high, you're going to be more effective than whatever the hell he was doing in New Orleans without that kind of like LeBron structure. He's like, you stand here, and if you don't stand here, the ass on bench retains ass, and like you go back to that. The lob threats is great next to Davis in wild situations. I could see that working in brief stints.
Yeah, I think the Lakers still like the idea of playing two bigs, and I think that like Anthony Davis will actually spend a decent amount of time at the four, even if everyone in their grandma thinks he should be just start at the five. But I kind of see Jackson Hayes in a similar sort of vein to like a prime JaVale McGee.
That's what I was thinking.
We know works on this kind of team, just like insane athleticism, can crush alley-oops. LeBron is one of the best passers in NBA history. D'Angelo Russell, as much as he has this reputation of just being like a scorer, like that dude can throw an alley-oop pass. Like he actually can make some good passes. And so like when your role is set screen, run to the hoop and jump, and then defensively it's block anything that comes near you. Like this dude will block 100 fucking shots.
Yeah.
And if you've got LeBron and Anthony Davis, two of like the best help defenders in the league, to plug the gaps that you should be filling, so that you can focus on just swatting everything that comes into the paint. Like this is a guy that's set up in the perfect situation for his strengths to be maximized and his weaknesses to be minimized.
And I want to let you guys know, I really labored over which Laker I was going to bring to the discussion today, because I mean, we all know Austin Reeves is about to take that next step and really ascend and be a 25 points per game night.
Like a 12.5 points per game scorer.
No, like 25. next step. He did 16 in the playoffs. He's got to go up from there. I thought about Jared Vanderbilt because we know he's been working on that shot, and he's going to be a 40% three-point shooter this next year. But
Gabe Vincent, another guy who had a really nice playoffs.
Great guy, about to have a breakout year, be in everyone's NBA lexicon. And I thought we could go real niche. You go for Max Christie, who just embarrassment of riches here. Max Christie, absolutely going to bust out of
the screen during garbage time.
Nate predicts the Lakers to score 160 points per game. So all these guys break out to 20 points per game score.
Oh yeah, every single one of them.
160, yeah. Christie plus Reeves plus Hayes. 10 lobs a game.
Yeah, except for Taurean Prince, but he'll play great defense.
I forgot you guys got Taurean Prince. You lucky bastards.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes it's nice to be in LA. I am really surprised that like the high taxes never catches up to LA, because I'm like, maybe it's just me being like a bit more simple. I'm like, man, you're gonna pay me millions, but I gotta spend half that in taxes, or I can go to a state with no state income tax. Like,
it's never worked for the Mavs,
right? I feel like this should work for other
teams,
but
every time a star's brought up to go to the Mavs, they're like, no state income tax, and no one gives a shit. No one cares. No one's ever been like, I'm doing it. Like,
wouldn't you pay like an extra 40% of your salary to live in Los Angeles over Orlando, though?
Even Dallas isn't that. Like, I don't know.
I guess maybe the thing is also you can make a lot more in advertisements in LA, and maybe you make
Austin Reeves has a signature shoe.
You're a fucking Laker. You can do anything you want. Like that's the difference. Is like
Austin Reeves is denying that he's dating Taylor Swift. Like,
yeah, there's levels to this shit. You're not dating anybody in Dallas.
no.
You're getting like the C-list celebrities, like Lady Gaga. Like, who's he dating?
I mean, Jimmy Butler is dating Shakira right now.
Yeah, that's the Miami thing.
Yeah, Miami.
We need a
LA,
whole podcast on shit like that, on who NBA players are
NBA
dating.
player dating rumors.
We could do like a TMZ episode.
I might get my wife to make TikToks for the pod as a realtor, just like reviewing NBA players' houses.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Very cool.
I think it was like Jonas Jerebko's house went back up on the market in Detroit. He apparently can't sell his house because it's like 3.2 million and no one wants to buy
Yeah, because he's in Detroit and he's in a fucking mansion.
Yeah, but I thought that'd be like a funny little shtick. So that's my fourth guy off my board. Aaron got guy number 5 for us. I'm counting Obi as mine. I'm sorry, I'm stealing him.
Yeah, all right. All right, I have 2 more guys. Brandon
That's why
Ingram.
we plan some backups. Ooh.
Brandon Ingram. I think heading into the end of last season, he was playing at a high level. He was an all-star, I think, in 2020. Hasn't been able to get back to that, but it's got to click eventually, the health and the play, because he really is special to watch. He'll give you 24 points, 5 boards, 5 assists. If the Pelicans can have 6 functional limbs between their 5 starters, they're in good shape.
That's a tough ask. They do not have healthy players.
They don't. But Ingram, I think Ingram's really good.
Yeah,
This is more of a health in a better situation, and if it's him and Zion both healthy, and the Pelicans will win a ton of games.
I had another Pelican on my list. If we want to immediately move off of Brandon Ingram,
Sure.
Trey Murphy III quietly had a really awesome season last year. Dude averaged like 15 points a game on like almost 50, 40, 90 on a team that like didn't have the most talented guys playing. And like there is a little bit of like, for sure maybe his role gets decreased if the Pelicans are healthy. But I think being on a good team, he's the kind of player that would really thrive in that situation of having, the amount of incredible role gravity that Zion has, and guys trying to double team Ingram if he's able to put together a good season. Like this dude's gonna have just so many scoring opportunities, and he's a really awesome scorer. He's got really good size to be a defender. Like if Pelican's able to be a good team, I think he's gonna thrive off of that.
Sorry, I'm cracking up at a roll gravity. He's like bread roll gravity, sweet roll gravity. He has different cinnamon roll gravity.
The cinnamon rolls just somehow gravitate towards him.
I mean,
Christ, guys.
It's a type of gravity. That's a really good call out, man. Now you guys got me mad that I went for such deep cuts like Jalen Johnson. Why did you guys let me do that?
I didn't let you in for it, man.
I was like, I'm going to try to avoid overlap guys. I was like, I know I got Obi on here, so I'm going to have at least one overlap guy. But no, I think
I feel like it's going to be like a dozen like more obvious players that we just didn't include because we were trying to get into our bag, which is fine. Like everyone knows the big guys.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we could have brought up Herb Jones as well.
I told Nate I'd do more blue chip guys because I know you guys are like. You guys would go deep into it, and I'm just like, we can talk about
that. I'm going to be looking for the 9th man on a team who can, who's just a 3-and-D wing.
I'm going to figure out some Laker homerism to bring to the pod. We got our specialties.
You should have leaned into it and just done an entire 5-man Lakers.
just started off.
Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves. All right, Austin Rivers is my guy.
You cannot be having Austin Rivers anymore.
No.
I feel like we did this pod 5 years ago and you did Austin Rivers. You can't keep doing Austin Rivers.
Yeah, I mean, given that he's probably not going to be in the rotation.
He's on the Wolves, isn't he? That's right. I know he was on there last year.
He's
I had an aneurysm realizing that was Austin Rivers I was watching on the sideline.
Listen, he's doing a Ringer podcast right now. His dad is going to be ESPN's guy replacing Jeff Van Gundy. Like the Rivers family is done playing basketball. They're media folks nowadays, right?
Mhm.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good podcast host too.
Haven't listened to much of the show. All right. Was that your fifth guy, Aaron, then?
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know anymore.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I have
Doesn't
one more guy. I have one more guy. I had 8 guys in total.
I got one more, or technically I've got 2 more. I got Devin Vassell. I think a Spur is going to jump into the lexicon of NBA consciousness. Vassell last year was averaging 18 points per game, but I was really looking at his 3-point shooting. He shoots 43% on catch and shoot threes, or threes with like 1 to 2 seconds of touch time, and 28% on basically all other threes. I think when you give him Wemby and Wemby's passing, that was the thing that jumped out for me in summer league, which is how brilliant his passing and ball handling was. You put Wemby on that team, he starts drawing a double team. Vassell's going to get some open looks, and like that's what we all knew about Vassell coming into the draft, was that he's going to be a dead eye sniper. Now you finally give him someone else that can take the defense's attention. I think Vassell could look really nice, and he still can drive and still can put the ball on the floor. I think this could be a good year for Vassell. I think over 20 points is within the realm of possibility. I think some chatter about most improved is in the realm of possibility. I'm in.
Yeah, and you talk about the 2 types of blowups that can happen, being in player quality and then also notoriety. Not only Wemby drawing attention from the opposing defense, but drawing attention from the media. The fact that this team's about to be super well watched, and everyone's going to realize that, like, oh, Devin Vassell's the best player on this team. Like this team that we're all watching to see Wemby, Devin Vassell is the best player on this team.
Mm-hmm. Also, shout out to Keldon Johnson. I don't want to leave him out in the cold right now. Malachi Brandon, Jeremy Sohan, you guys got to prove it more to me. But yeah, that big 3, very small 3, Keldon, Vassell, and Wemby. I don't know. I guess it's big. It's got Wemby. He's tall. Keldon's got acreage. He's got the girth. But no, I'm not projecting more than 30 wins for the Spurs. Maybe 33 max. But I think Vassell being a 20 points per game guy and all the national media games, he's definitely going to jump up in NBA lexicon circles.
Yeah, I think it could be over 20 and like still a good defender.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a big Devin Vassell guy.
All right. Dylan, how many guys got left?
I'll just do one more. We can let
each,
Aaron do one more, and then we can.
last guy.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. One that I feel like not a lot of NBA fans know about, and the reason is that he was on just an abysmal, a disgusting team to watch. But Tari Eason, who's for anyone who doesn't know, he's a forward on the Rockets. Like this is a guy who's shown some shooting touch, who can defend, who's really athletic, like goes hard to the offensive glass, just like a guy that I think will really contribute to winning. He had a nice summer league. I think he's like looking like, a sort of a low level starting caliber of player. And if he can get decent reps in Houston, I think he will have a really terrific season. I had to get one deep cut 3-and-D guy.
That's your second. That's your second. You already had Trey Murphy.
Trey Murphy's not that deep of a cut, right?
No, Tari Eason, I watched him play live. I'm not trying to shit on this. I didn't really see it, but in all the circles I've been in, everyone likes Tari Eason, so I respect the decision. I don't think LeBron could have taken that Rockets team to 25 wins last year. I don't know how many wins they got, but still, just truly an off situation. I think it's a smart idea to put stock into some of those guys, at least a little bit, to say, hey, like things are going to get better. And Jabari Smith Jr. could be another pick here, just along the same vein of, I mean, he is a sophomore. It's kind of cheating, but Like, I think Houston will be in a better situation.
Aaron,
You guys
do you
want
want
to? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask, do you want the deep cut or the deeper cut? The deepest cut. The deepest cut of all time.
I want the deepest cut.
Yeah, we gotta go the deepest cut.
Derek Alston Jr.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Do you know who that is, Dylan?
No.
No, you didn't. All right. I don't feel as bad. Well, can we take a guess what team?
It's a pretty deep cut.
Oh, you guys could guess all day what team he played for last season.
I didn't. What team does he play for now? He was in the G League last season. He probably was somewhere else last season.
Has he played in the NBA?
No, he hasn't.
Okay.
That's cheating. Break out to what?
Break out to making the league.
All
I feel
right.
like second team all rookie isn't really a breakout.
No, we just had this the least impressive award of all time. No, last year he played for the Rostock Seawolves in Germany. Their first year making it into the top level of the German league, and was named all league first team. He is a 6'9" 2-guard, lanky, drives, plays defense. The shooting was there in college. It's gone away in the last 2 years.
He was undrafted. What team does he play for, Nate?
He's currently unsigned.
Okay, all right. Okay.
He picked a free agent.
Trying to make his way into the league. I'm keeping tabs. I'm watching. This
All
is
right.
stock watch. We're putting it out there.
These are penny stocks, man. You're gonna make a fortune if this turns out.
Yeah. Listen, have you ever heard of a man named Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street? You gotta start with the penny stocks and work your way up. And I'm buying these stocks here.
All right. I can't top. I forget his name. What was his
Derek Alston Jr. We're gonna keep an eye out for him.
All right. I can't top that. I can't.
You better learn his name, Aaron, because it's about to be everywhere.
About to be everywhere.
Seriously, I only had one more blue chip guy next, which is just it's a putt. It's a layup. It's Evan Mobley. It'll be good next year. Yay! Fucking pot over. All right.
Yeah. I'll just throw out two. Just because I put them on the list, but I won't talk too much about them. Josh Green on the Mavs.
That was my other name.
They need some players that can. They need some players that can play, and he can play, so he might have a big role. And then on Miami,
Jovic?
I've got his name written down, but now looking at it, I feel like I don't have it right.
Can we talk about Jovic while Dylan looks it up?
Yeah.
That guy is so tall. I went to a Heat game. It was Kings Heat, and I didn't recognize him. And I was like, who is that huge guy on Miami's roster? Like, that dude's tall, so tall. He's like easily 7 feet tall. And it was Jovic.
Anyway,
I have stock.
My guy is another bench warming 7-footer on the Heat. If Orlando Robinson can find a role, I think I think we're gonna really like what he can do. That's all I'll say.
What about his game? What do you like? Because I know I watched him in the summer league, and I was really unimpressed. Like, I saw the numbers, I was like, oh shit! Like, is this going to be a guy? And then I watched the game, and I didn't like what I saw. So I'm wondering what you saw.
I like his size. I feel like his positioning's pretty good, and like athleticism's there. Like, just the basic things that you look for in a backup center. I think he can fill that role that they need if he's the one that gets the minutes.
He's 7 feet tall. He makes layups.
Yeah, that's kind of what I watched.
I love the defense, guys. I appreciate you guys bringing that because I had the big names, and we complimented each other well.
Yeah, and might I say, you guys are both looking quite stunning today. Fabulous mustaches. Just wanted to continue with complimenting each other well.
Thank you.
Thanks. I put the beautify filter on.
All right, Aaron, where can the people find you?
Possible Chairs on TikTok.
Dylan, where can people find you?
Watching Orlando Robinson Summer League highlights.
You can find me at Hoops Temple Pod on TikTok or hoopstemple@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks.